Well, I've just put in a DSP unit into my R71. This radio is fantastic, and I built up this little module. I ordered a few years ago now, and I thought I'd bang it into my R71 just to see how well it works, and I'm actually quite amazed. That's the module there, which I mounted in the left hand corner, and I made a small interface board rather than hack into the radio itself and put switches and buttons. I've actually tried to use what's already there. So it turns out that I can actually control quite a bit of the DSP with existing buttons. Like I can actually, by using the why can't I see that? Hang on. By using the noise blanker wide narrow button, it still works as a wide narrow button in the noise blanker as it originally was intended, but now it can also turn the DSP on and off. I've also, through that interface board there, I've also managed to switch different filters in using different modes, and also the auto notch. So let's have a crack with this. Because where I live, every signal down here is as weak as, like it's very hard to get good reception down here, almost down as far as the Antarctica. So here is a pretty weak signal. I think that's North Korea, I'm not sure. That's without the DSP. Now I'll activate the DSP. That's with the DSP. That's without the DSP. I think that's pretty amazing. What this unit is, it's actually made by Cumbria, some British company that made this. I think it was a kit set originally. I don't know whether they made them up and made up units. What I've done, if you look at the quick diagram here, this here's a DSP unit. All I did, because this runs on 3.3 volts and the radio runs on, 8 volts and upwards, you've got to be pretty careful you don't blow this up by interfacing it. So I did it as simple as I could. I used a diode to pull the, what they call a DEN or denoiser, down to ground when the noise blanker button is pressed in. There's also a capacitor here which goes off to the radio to work the original noise blanker system. That still functions. So basically all we do is pull this down through a diode. When if this voltage raises up about, I don't know, 8 volts or something, which would damage this DSP chip, that diode prevents the voltage going back. We also use what's called the, where are we? God, I can't even read this. The automatic notch filter. Now I've got this connected through a transistor inverting stage, through a 10k resistor, so we don't load down the radio circuitry, and it goes to a point D47, which is high, AM only. So with AM we've got the notch filter, automatic notch filter activated as well, and this works quite well. And also remember, we've still got the notch filter in the R71, which is an IF notch filter. This one here is an audio notch filter. Let me turn that down in case you can't hear me. And here we have what's called group. I think it stands for group. I've got very little documentation on this DSP unit. But when we switch this down to ground by activating the CW switch, we can now choose between. Now for single sideband, we have a bandwidth, DSP bandwidth of 400 to 2200 Hertz. For AM, the DSP gives us, when activated, of course, gives us bandwidth of 200. You can choose these whatever you want, but I made that 200 to 2200. And for CW, a very narrow bandwidth of 200 to 600 Hertz. Now, I don't know whether there's any CW on here. Let's go to I don't know, let's try the handbands here. We'll go to 7 megs and see what we can find. We'll go to SS lowest sideband mode, and we'll turn off the DSP. There's a pretty weak, that's a pretty weak Morse signal there. Let's see how we can get on with this. Now that's without the DSP. That's a pretty narrow bandwidth. That's with the DSP. That's without the DSP. So that signal's almost non-existent. It's there. It was quite hard to copy because the background noise. But with the DSP, to get that tuned in correctly, it's not a good demo, is it? That signal is almost non-existent. But I think you get the general idea. It's just been quite an interesting mod to this radio, and I think it works well enough to actually leave it installed. As I say, we live so far down south in the southern hemisphere that every signal we get down here is DX and very weak. We're usually looking at sub-microvolt signals down here. So yes, I think this is quite a good modification. Thanks for watching. If I can remember how to turn this thing off.